Brendan with Cusack Prep, and what I have for you today is a quick video on how to add and subtract complex numbers. Now, the first thing to remember is that you add and subtract complex numbers just like you add and subtract polynomials, meaning that if you have something like I squared and I squared, you can add them to make, basically you add the coefficients, so you would have 2i squared. Or if you had 3i cubed and 4i cubed, you would just add the coefficients and you would have 7i cubed. After you're done adding or subtracting the complex numbers, you want to apply the principle of basically this series of I values. So I to the first equals I squared equals -1, I cubed equals -I, and I to the fourth is equal to 1, in order to put it in what's called standard form. Now, standard form for complex numbers is A plus BI. Notice there's no I squared, no I to the third, no I to the fourth, or no higher order term. So you want to make sure that at the very end you simplify it using these properties and just put it in the standard form. So just to re-emphasize how you add it just like polynomials, let's say you wanted to add something like 3x squared minus 7x plus 2, and you wanted to add that to 4x squared plus 2x. What you would do is you would add the 3x squared and the 4x squared term together. By adding these coefficients, the 3 and the 4, you would end up with 7x squared. You would also add the -7x and the 2x, which would give you minus 5x. And since the 2 stands alone, it's going to add to nothing, so it's just going to be plus 2. That's how you add polynomials. You're going to do the exact same thing with these complex numbers. So let's go ahead and take a look at some example problems down here. So for example problem number 1, I have 3 minus 2i plus 4 plus 3i. Now, just like polynomials, we're going to add the constant terms together. So the 3 and the 4 are going to come together and add to 7. Next, I'm going to add the coefficients on the I term together. In this case, -2i plus 3i is going to lead me to plus 1i. Now this is already in standard form, so we don't have to do anything else, and this is simply our answer. For the next problem down here, we have subtraction of polynomials, and the one thing you have to remember to do is distribute that negative when you get rid of these parentheses. It's a very common mistake. Make sure you don't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 minus 2, which is going to give us 3, and then -6i cubed. Well, there's no I cubed term over here, so we're just going to go ahead and turn that into -6i cubed because there's nothing for it to combine with. Minus -3i squared is just the same as plus 3i squared, because if you subtract a negative, you get a positive. Now what we're going to do is we're going to apply these terms up here, these values, in order to put it in standard form. So 3 is fine, no need to change that. Now 6i cubed, remember I cubed is equal to -1. So what I'm going to do is turn this I cubed term into, sorry, -i, not -1. I'm going to turn this into -i. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this I squared term. I squared is -1. So instead of writing I squared, I'm just going to write -1 here. And what we find is that when we bring these terms together, we end up with 3 minus 3, which is just 0. I'm going to write that here. You normally don't have to. And then -6i times -i is going to give us plus 6i. So in standard form, our answer would be 0 plus 6i, or simply 6i. Now for problem 3, it's also a subtraction problem. 3 minus 6 would give us -3. 2i squared has nothing to combine with, so it's just 2i squared. Minus 4i cubed, because this negative gets distributed, so we would have minus 4i to the fourth. Now, -3 plus 2 times -1, remember I squared is just -1, and I to the fourth is just 1, so we end up with this. -3 plus -2 minus 4. When that's all said and done, we're going to end up with -9. And that's how you do it. That's how you add and subtract complex numbers. Pretty straightforward, not too hard. Just remember, it's just like polynomials. So if you know how to add and subtract things involving x, you really know how to add and subtract things with I. You just have that one extra step at the end. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe.